I'd like to clarify an issue that I addressed many years ago, is the asbestos in Russian gas mask filters. This is a taken apart gas mask filter from Russia from the 80s. This says 1988 here on the side. You can see that it says 88. So when people say gas mask filters from the 80s, that's really what they're talking about, is this style of filter. And I actually just ran into this when I interviewed that guy at SHOT Show from Mira Safety, who was basically selling the exact same looking filter, claiming that it now did all of these other things. And it clearly was the exact same can, exactly the same factory, exactly the same stuff on it. But he claimed that the asbestos in the old filters was something that you had to be careful of. Now, I question the asbestos, and I question the having to be careful of it, and I always have. This is the way, when you get these filters, this is what they look like. This is a completely wrapped filter, and I will, in the master article for adult gas masks, even kid gas masks, I will give you the resources of where to get these from on eBay. This is the guy. This is also a 1988 filter. This was the same shipment I got from him. And it comes with a rubber cap on the bottom and a rubber cap on the top. And I'm not going to open that because this is actually, they're actually vacuum packed. I don't know if they actually, they must, when they seal them up, they must do it in a warm environment because they are actually sealed. When I put the can opener on this guy to open them up, there actually was a seal break on it. And that's what I did use to open it up, was just a regular old, one of those seal breaking can openers, not the cutting type of can opener. And there was actually a psst of gas when I first hit it with the can opener. When you look at these gas masks, when you first open them up, this is the side that is the mask side. This screws into the mask. This is a 40 millimeter thread, which is standard NATO, standard Russian. And this is where the air comes in, is this side. So where the air comes in on this side, you have this cardboard kind of stuff. And is there asbestos in this cardboard? Well, you know what? There very well could be. It certainly doesn't look like asbestos fibers, but there are some straight fibers sticking out there. So it could be that there are some asbestos fibers in this material, okay? I don't know. I haven't looked at it with a microscope, but you know what? Guess what, peeps? It doesn't matter. And I didn't say that word. It really doesn't matter. Why? Because this is at the back of the filter. This is where the air comes in. You still have a whole plate of activated carbon here and an entirely different filter in between your breath and the outside of the filter. It is a gas mask. So this is just the first stage of the gas mask. If there were fibers, they certainly would be not able to penetrate an entire plate of activated carbon here. So that, if this is the piece they're talking about, it's totally ridiculous, okay? Totally ridiculous. So next, when you open it up, you have kind of a capture device here that catches on this ridge. See this ridge? So at that ridge, you've got this guy, okay? That holds in this plate of activated carbon. And usually the carbon is treated to be able to take in chlorine gas and all kinds of other things that a proper NBC, which they call CBRN now, filter is capable of filtering. The next layer right before what you breathe is here. This is going to be right when you look into these filters, and you'll see a lot of times you'll either see completely white, right, or you'll see this cross piece, right? So that's what you're going to see. This also has kind of a layer of thin paper on the outside, which is not. This is where your breath is. This side is close to your mouth, okay, or close to the mask. The air is coming this way. So at the very end, you have some very fine paper, which for sure is not asbestos. And behind that, you do have another fuzzy thing, the dreaded fuzzy things. But you know what? If you look closely at this, the dreaded fuzzy thing does not have any straight fibers coming out of it. It's regular cotton ball material. Okay? That is not asbestos, my friends. Okay? It is just a regular old cotton or poly or something cotton ball kind of material. And that's the last layer of the filter. So the whole thing is ridiculous. Why do people insist on it? I don't know. There's this guy, I'm going to pull this off. This is an old mask that was in one of my sheds. Okay, I've had these things for years. And he said that he's worried. He actually tells people not to use these filters because he's seen some carbon coming through some of his filters. See, some of them don't have the cross piece. They just have what looks like a dreaded fibrous layer here. But again, it's not, this fibrous layer is not asbestos. It's some kind of microfiber that isn't asbestos. And it certainly isn't degrading. So this filter has been completely unprotected. It has no back cap. It has no front cap. It's been out in a shed in Florida attached to this mask for at least 5 years. Since I went through this last time, I just kind of threw this in a pile. And there's still no degradation. What he's complaining about is there is a little, you probably can't see it very well, but there is a little bit of fine black powder on top of the filter that probably came out from around the edges, around the edges, and is laying on the filter because it's been bumped around a lot. And this is a 1989 filter. It's the same era of filter, probably just a different factory. And he's claiming that the Russians never stopped using asbestos and that it's difficult, and that you shouldn't use it because it's life-threatening. Now, the whole point of asbestos being life-threatening is that it's a small, very durable fiber that when taken into the lungs lodges itself in there and doesn't really come out. And eventually it can lead to emphysema or cancer or one of those other things. But it's an irritant basically. There's nothing coming out of here. Hello? There's nothing degraded in there. Even in an outdoor shed in Florida with no seals, there's nothing degraded in there. Now, I'm not saying I would use this filter because most likely the humidity in Florida has compacted the materials inside somewhat and probably is difficult to breathe through. I haven't tried it, but it will definitely, even if it works, it will have a much shorter life using it, probably because of the humidity and all the stuff that gets absorbed from the air and all that stuff. It's just not a good thing. But these filters that are coming out of Ukraine or Lithuania right now, they are brand new and completely sealed, and they're actually vacuum sealed. So I'm sorry, but this space is really just being filled by a bunch of jackasses who can't use their head, and you should completely disregard it. These are perfectly safe filters, and don't be afraid to use them because there's a tiny chance that in the outside layer, there's not even anything really translucent looking in this. It's just bunk. We'll see you next time. It's just bunk. We'll see you next time. Fire!